European football returns to Salzburg and the pressure is on right at the start of a new campaign in the qualifiers. A muggy and warm day in Austria has made way for rain clouds, thunder and dramatic skies above Salzburg at sundown this evening. Are we going to see the same kind of dramatic scenes out on the pitch in the up-and-coming 90 minutes? I certainly hope so, and I'm sure you're in the mood for an action-packed game as well. Wherever you're watching from around the world, it is wonderful to have you with us. My name's Tom Baumgartner-Midler, and it is my great pleasure and privilege to be in the commentary box tonight as FC Salzburg of Austria and Pafos FC of Cyprus will go head-to-head. Here's a look at the Salzburg lineup. A big night tonight for the new coach Danny Röhl. The young German opts for a familiar back four. He's grown in confidence in playing in the early parts of this season. Zawierzycki, the number one goalkeeper as well, at just 19 years of age. He's got the confidence, he's got the swagger to lead the team from between the sticks. Farachnik, the new captain, at right back. Schmid at left back. Zabransky and Borma, the two as the centre-back pairing for Danny Röhl tonight. Abu Bari and Soumaila Diabate in the defensive midfield positions. Redzic, Diakate and the returning Edmund Baidu in the starting lineup, with Jorbe Vertessen, the lone striker. Baidu the only change compared to the side which beat Hartberg 1-0 at the weekend. Baidu back in the fold and raring to go after a difficult summer. It looked like he was ready for a move away. Now he's ready to play his parts for FC Salzburg this season. He replaces Enrique Aguilar in the attack. It's a 4-2-3-1 for Salzburg. Newly signed goalkeeper Christian Früchtel not yet ready for a place in the matchday squad. Zawierzycki would have been the number one regardless. Referee tonight is Damian Sylwestrjak from Poland. You can see the heavy rain pouring down here at Stadion Salzburg, as it's called in European football. FC Salzburg playing tonight instead of Red Bull Salzburg, and Pafos FC the opponents. Coach Ricardo Sapinto opting for a back three tonight. That's a change from their victory over Hajduk Split in the last round. David Goldar, David Luiz, the experienced centre-back who's won the Champions League before with Chelsea, of course, and Nicolas Ioanu making up the back three. Sapinto without the services of the influential winger Jaja, who suffered an ACL injury in the last round against Hajduk. I thought Ken Sema, the Swede, might switch into his role on the flank for tonight, but it's Brito, the new man in midfield, compared to that victorious lineup last time out. Vlad Dragomir, the other change in attack. You can see the two captains, Farachnik and David Luiz, absolutely soaked through already, as is the referee and his two assistants. But Salzburg are ready to go in European competition for this season. It's not the first run out for Pafos, of course. They really showed two faces in their tie against Hajduk Split. They were beaten in the first leg comfortably, and then they looked possessed in the second leg, pushed throughout the game, grabbed an equaliser to come back from 2-0 down in stoppage time, and then had the game sewn up after extra time. A really impressive second leg from Pafos FC. Are we going to see that kind of performance tonight, you wonder? Or will it be something more akin to the first leg, where they looked a bit overawed against the Croatians? It is absolutely pelting it down now. That much is clear to see. And the crowd keeping dry. The players not so much. It won't bother them. The turf should be in great condition nonetheless. But hopefully this doesn't continue for the whole of the 90 minutes. The rain held off throughout the day. It was forecast for thunderstorms and lightning around 4 o'clock, but it's really only started in the last hour or hour and a half. And now it's Red Bull Salzburg who get their European campaign for the season started. The ball rolling at Stadion Salzburg. First touch already for Zawierzycki. Only his 8th appearance for Salzburg seniors. Came up through the academy, under 15s, under 16s, under 19s. Took the familiar path of a Salzburg junior and played 27 times for Liefering in Austria's second division. It was clear to everybody at the club that Salzburg have a massive goalkeeping talent on their hands here. Zawieszicki, just 19 years of age, but with the departure of last season's number one and the Austria number one, Alexander Schlager, who's gone off to Werder Bremen in the German Bundesliga, and it's a great chance for Zawieszicki to take over that number one spot in Salzburg. Salzburg do come into this game actually with just two 19-year-old goalkeepers available for the senior side, and that is why they've made moves and signed Christian Früchtl just yesterday. He's not ready to play tonight, not ready to be on the bench tonight. So 90 seconds gone. Pafos with the first set-piece chance of the game, and it's not a bad position for them over on the left-hand side. Surely it'll be a curler. It's the outswinger rather than the inswinger. It slipped through everybody. I'm sure we'll see a bit more of that tonight, given the heavy rainfall. That ball's going to be so slippery. Šunjić is going to leave that one for a teammate. Pafos throw over on the right-hand side. Both teams aiming to take a big step towards securing UEFA Europa League football for the season ahead, and the 8 guaranteed European nights that qualification brings with it. Key moment this game for new Salzburg boss Danny Röhl, only 37 years of age. It's his European premiere in charge of the Red Bulls. The German has overseen winning starts in both the Cup and the Bundesliga domestically. Now it's time to make it 3 for 3 for Salzburg and hit the ground running in Europa League qualifying as well. Pafos, the Cypriot Cup winners from last season, they know a thing or two about successful European qualifying campaigns from the last few seasons, that's for sure. They've played Conference League football, they've played Champions League football proper as well. A really historic achievement for the club, but here comes Salzburg into the box for the first time, and it's a good tackle to just touch the ball away from Damir Redzic, who's got himself into a good position down that left-hand side. First glimpse of a threat from FC Salzburg. Corner ball. For Tessen to take. Looking for men in the middle. Kevin Boma waiting for something to come his way. Abu Bari having a word with the referee. He's come up against Alexandra Brito. The two of them getting a talking to from Sylvester Jacques. And the two of them will run back and resume their battle near the back post. For Tessen to send it in with the right foot. Clips it towards the near post, and it's loose in the middle. Just booted away and then all the way back towards Zawieszicki, who's going to come out of his box. But look at the way the ball is holding up in the turf here. Already the sodden turf doesn't necessarily lend itself to a free-flowing passing game. We'll see what the two teams can manage. Salzburg's job tonight to try and build that lead. They've got to take an advantage back with them to Limassol next week. Important touch to send the ball out for a Pafos throw. And you did hear that right, it will be in Limassol next week. It's around about 45 minutes away from Pafos, where this team have to play their home ties in Europe. David Luiz. Back it goes towards Majecki. Goalkeeper on loan from AS Monaco. A 26-year-old Pole. Twice a champion in Poland with Legia. Both of his appearances so far for Pafos came in the previous round against Hajduk. There's plenty of players new to both sides for tonight's game. Some really exciting young players for Salzburg as well, getting their chance this season. There's an air of freshness around the club after a couple of years without a trophy. First big challenge for this season is to get into the Europa League. That would constitute a really decent start for Danny Röhl's tenure. The guarantee of European football that brings with it, the money that it guarantees as well, somewhere in the region of 10 to 15 million euros at the worst case after qualifying for the Europa League phase. And that's going to be crucial for Salzburg. Conference League money is not too bad either, but they want that chance in the next round. They want that chance in the Europa League playoff instead. That would mean Conference League football's guaranteed anyway. The winner of this tie will go through to face the loser of Mjällby from Sweden, Swedish champions of 2025, or Slovan Bratislava, Slovakian side leading 2-1 after the first leg of that game. A long way to go before thinking about Mjällby or Slovan though for now. Majecki clears it up into the air. Interesting to see how the ball will zip off the turf actually. David Luiz in possession. Neither team has been able to carve out a big chance in the early stages of this one. Across the defence it goes as the rain begins to get stronger once again. You do feel that that's going to be a major theme throughout the evening. Something that both teams, of course, have to contend with equally. No sense of a major advantage for either side. There is something of a strange, albeit slight advantage for Pafos FC as they block the attempted pass away. The second one's a little better and Salzburg will win the free kick there. It's Guga who's gone in with the challenge. Ferachnik back to his feet. It was a good spin actually from the number 18. Ricardo Sapinto, who's been described as something of a loose cannon in charge of Pafos FC. An emotional manager. Can be very fiery on the touchline. And that's a good ball down towards the byline for Salzburg. Square ball across the box from Redzic is cut out, and it'll be another Salzburg corner from that left-hand side. A little bit of momentum building for the home team. Šunjić again, the player forced to get back and send that behind. Can Salzburg work something more from this set piece? Vertessen again, clipped it to the front post last time, went for the same this time. The ball not cleared, it's going to be fired back in. It was a decent effort, it was low, but it's hit the shins and it's been cleared away. Zamieszewski takes the right approach. It will be tough for him to judge actually whether to come out for those kind of balls in this first half at least. As long as it's raining this hard, there is always a chance that a ball like that, zipping along the turf, spinning along the turf, will just hold still, and it would give the attacker a major advantage. That's a good driving run. Salzburg into the box again. Vertessen! Shot deflected. It's going to stay in play, is it? Baidu lets it roll out for the next corner. Little clash in the middle. That was fair. Plenty of sportsmanship. That was the knock between the two of them just outside the 6-yard box. No malice, no intent at all. Zabransky, one of those in the 6-yard box. It's a more dangerous delivery this time. Now brought down, and now the shot from distance! Oh, that's so nearly caught the top corner. Just about 10 minutes on the clock. And Salzburg flashed the first shot just wide. Just how wide was it? The first touch set that up, and it wasn't far away at all from the right angle. The first touch from Gausu Diakite sent it from right foot to left, and there you see from the top corner of the goalmouth just how close that was. Pafos want the free kick, but they're not going to get it. Now surely Salzburg will get it for holding. Pafos will feel hard done by if it does go that way, but the pullback on Diakite there was much clearer than the one that Šunjić is protesting. Well, the close-up shots that you can see like that just show exactly what the teams have to contend with at the moment. It's left for Barry. Kevin Boma. Veracnik, the young captain. Really big season ahead for him. He's been trusted, having joined from Mainz. 45 appearances in Germany for the Mainz senior side. Good challenge, ball won cleanly. Salzburg can turn it and go in the other direction with Diakite. Salzburg with the upper hand in the contest at the moment. Redzic spots the overlapping run. Chance for a cross, it's blocked behind, it's another corner. Vertessen trudges over to take it. And look at the puddles splashing up as Nicolas Veracnik goes in for the challenge. It was a really shrewd signing from Salzburg, actually. 76 appearances in the Austrian Bundesliga for VAC, the Corinthian club, where he was a junior. Veracnik really cut his teeth in the German Bundesliga. Salzburg corner towards the front post, it bounces away. It's going to be another corner straight away. Majewski protests. Veracnik at 23. Perhaps many didn't expect him to immediately grab the captain's armband, but he seized his chance. Scored against Górnik in a pre-season friendly. Scored in the cup. A bullet header in a 7-1 victory over Oberwart, which was to be expected for Salzburg in the first round of the cup. Now it's another Vertessen corner. Surely he's had his sighters by now. Again, he chips it towards the front post. That's clearly been the tactic. Something worked on in training, but it's not yet worked out for that front post flick on for FC Salzburg. Vertessen will keep trying as long as Salzburg keep earning the corners over on that left-hand side. It's a good sign for the Red Bulls. I mentioned earlier that Pafos know a thing or two about qualifying campaigns. I'll let that slide for a minute because that was almost exactly what I mentioned. Passes back towards Zariashitsky come with a real element of danger in these conditions. And look at the way the ball's just sticking to the turf. Sapinto not happy, but I mean, what can anybody do about it? Pafos have it back here. They can spring an attack. That ball's going to hold up. It's going to be kept in play, or it should be at least. Well dealt with in the end. It took two Salzburg defenders to get it away, but that's a clever header. Now a chance. No way to just get through the gap there. The space was just closing down, and Alexandre Brito will try and get it away, but again the ball holds up. I did wonder when I saw the forecast whether this would be a game that is at risk perhaps of a delay. Maybe the referee will not see fit to get us through to half-time here if the ball keeps doing this. And indeed, Damian Silvestrijak does call a halt to proceedings. 14 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock. Salzburg 0, Pafos 0. And I think we're going to take a break for a little while here. Brito, of course, intended that pass to go about 10 times further than it managed to go. Well, it was always a risk. The referee's going to speak with the delegations of both clubs. He's going to see what the teams want to do about it. It's going to be fairly democratically decided, you'd imagine, but if the teams are not united in their approaches as to what to do right now, then Silvestrijak himself will make the call. thunder rumbles above the Salzburg stadium. We haven't seen too much lightning in the area. Needless to say, the weather is pretty grim. It was a hot and sunny day. The clouds rolled in the afternoon, and they just got thicker and thicker. Salzburg, one of those places surrounded by the mountains, of course, a beautiful city. But you can see the black clouds rolling in. There was always a threat of this, and we will take a quick break. Well, I say a quick break. We're waiting on the rain to ease up and perhaps the grounds team to improve the quality of the pitch if they can. But for now, we'll go in for an unplanned pause with the score at FC Salzburg 0, Pafos 0. If you are just joining us, welcome to a very wet Salzburg. It's Salzburg against Pafos in the UEFA Europa League third qualifying round, and the game is suspended due to heavy rain. No surprise when you saw the state of the pitch in the first 15 minutes. We made it a little bit longer than that. Referee Damian Silvestrizak feeling that there was no choice but to stop the play. The passes were going nowhere. The puddles when the players slid in to make challenges were absolutely massive. The pitch not playable. We don't know how long the break will be. That is for referee Silvestrizak, the two teams and UEFA to decide. We hope that you'll stick around for the conclusion of this first half, which we hope will be fairly soon. If the rain starts to ease up again, we'll get the squeegees out, get the sponges out, try and get some of the water off the playing surface and get this match underway again as soon as possible. For now, though, there is nothing that can be done. I should say that in my match notes, I didn't really expect to encounter Aphrodite, the goddess of love. Usually lots of players to be researched. Aphrodite came up when looking into Pafos. Many of you will know, I'm sure, that the goddess of love herself, as the ancient Greeks believed, rose above the waters to surface off the coast of Pafos. Pafos listed as the birthplace of Aphrodite, the goddess of love. The rains that cover this pitch right now just reminding me a little bit of that, the image of Aphrodite rising from the waters off the coast of Pafos. The fans still in good spirits here. And the players taking rest, trying to stay focused and ready to resume. As soon as we know when that will be, we'll get that up on the screen. We will let you know. For now, though, a pause with a big question mark over it. And it is still goalless. The only real chance of the game, a shot from distance from Gausu Diakite, the young Malian. Took a good touch with the right foot to set himself up from just under 30 yards out with the left foot. Smashed the ball towards the top corner. Majecki in the Pafos goal would have been beaten, but unfortunately the ball just wide of the right angle, just off target from the boot of Diakite, the man who scored from the penalty spot convincingly in the first round of the Cup, narrowly missing out on a goal in Salzburg's first European outing of the season as well. The ponchos are out. Fans doing their best to stay dry in utterly grim conditions. It is at least warm. The rain providing a little bit of cool relief. No surprise to see the flags of Brazil and Cabo Verde on the sidelines for Pafos. 6 Brazilians in the squad. One of their key players as well, João Correa, the 29-year-old from Cape Verde. Correa, something of a clutch player, known for scoring in key situations at really big moments for Pafos. He's back from injury. Didn't get the nod to start tonight, Correa. Jaja, also somebody who I definitely would call a key player and a clutch player as well, Jaja, for Pafos. Scored twice in the Cup semi-final last season. Scored an absolutely sumptuous 84th minute curler in the Cup final too, which is ultimately what took Pafos into Europe this season. Their league form dipped towards the end of the last campaign. They dropped to 4th place in the table, Pafos, but they did have the issue of playing Champions League football as well as league football, and it caught up with them in the end. Jaja out injured tonight, a big miss for them. For Salzburg, an underwhelming 3rd place finish in Austria's Bundesliga last season. It's the first time in a few decades that Salzburg had finished outside of the top 2. And that is a big, big task for Danny Röhl this season. That is the aim, to get back not just into the top 2, but of course to the top of the Austrian Bundesliga, to win the trophy once again. No league titles in a few seasons now for Salzburg. Missed out to last season. It was close down to the very end of the season. The Austrian Bundesliga had the points splitting format up until this season. That's gone. Now it's a straight shot, every game worth 3 points, no halving after 22 rounds. The league still splits into a top 6 and bottom 6. Salzburg in previous years had been absolutely untouchable when the championship round came around. Those final 10 matches that decide the title winner, Salzburg's so strong across those 10 games up until the last couple of seasons. Sturm Graz and now Lask just getting the better of the Red Bulls at the end of the season for the last few years. A mission for Danny Röhl to get that trophy cabinet open again for FC Salzburg, and of course to get back into the UEFA Europa League. That's where Salzburg were last season. In the 2010s, Salzburg were regular fixtures in the Europa League, one of the Europa League's almost annual participants. That all changed 2019-2020. Finally, the UEFA Champions League floodgates were opened. They'd missed out narrowly on qualification so many times, and then they finally got in. And Salzburg, impressively, managed to make themselves regulars in the UEFA Champions League over the last 5 or 6 years, but it was back to the Europa League last year. Now, hopefully, back in the Europa League again this year. Well, that's a good shot from the tunnel. You can see the decisions being made, the discussions being had between representatives of the two teams. Clearly, they want to keep the actual content of the discussions private, but there are plenty of conversations going on behind the scenes here in Salzburg as to how exactly to proceed and when exactly to proceed. Maybe when to get the groundskeepers out to try and improve the quality of the turf. The rain's easing up just a little. Again, we'll do our very best to keep you informed as soon as we know when the game is due to restart. We'll get it up on the screen. We'll get the information to you. First, we're waiting for the result of these discussions, and I'll take a break. Well, there's an encouraging sign from the sidelines in Salzburg. The rain has eased up a fair amount. It is still falling down here in Salzburg. Look at the way the ball bounces, unfortunately, though. It's rolling a little better. It won't be as consistent as that all over the field, you'd imagine. But at least the players are out giving it a try, testing something out, hoping to find out whether the conditions are approaching something near playable. There does seem to be a bit of an improvement, at least. I'm absolutely vindicated for packing the raincoat and the umbrella, despite the fact that it was high 30 degrees when I left this morning, and sunshine. It was absolutely the right call to trust the forecast. Unfortunately, the forecast has proven to be correct, but a little later than forecast as well, a little later than it was suggested, and that is why the game has been interrupted. Heavy rain for the first 20 minutes of this game. You get a chance to see the lightning there above the stadium as well. Storms in the area, thick clouds passing overhead. And the pitch absolutely sodden for the start of this first half, and it only got worse. I still keep my fingers crossed. I hope that UEFA and the two teams will be able to continue soon. Still no official word on when the game might proceed. It is FC Salzburg 0, Pafos 0. If you're just joining us, just the one chance came from the boot of Gausu Diakite. He fired just wide of the right angle from distance. It would have been a stunning opening goal in the tie. That would have had nothing to do with the rain either. It's the kind of night where, for a goalkeeper to spill the ball or a flat bounce in the box, a dull bounce could lead to the ball falling loose at the feet of a striker, something scrappy, something ugly, deciding the contest. That is exactly what the two teams don't want. Conditions are, of course, something for both teams to deal with, but you don't want them to be the decisive factor in such an important contest. UEFA Europa League football on the line for both of these teams, and many millions of euro as well. Referee Damien ServusTV is coming back out for the next test of the turf, I think. Well, while we're waiting, if you do hear a hiccup on the stream at any time, that'll be my fault. In the break, I've gone to grab another refill of the bottle of water, and as is the Central European standard, the bottles of water here are carbonated, fizzy water. It's not the standard where I grew up. I don't know what it's like in your country, wherever you're watching, but for me, still water is the norm. Here, carbonated water is the norm, which I can tell you is not quite ideal for a commentator. A little bit dangerous having a bottle of soda water around my many pages of notes written by hand. I've kept them dry from the rain. I could do without spilling my own water on them as well. Another big rumble of thunder there. Let's see what referee ServusTV decides. Pafos against FC Salzburg taking place next week in exactly a week's time over in Limassol. Not in Pafos, but around about 45 minutes away from there in Limassol. And hopefully the second leg will take place in far better conditions than we've got here. I'm not sure whether you can hear it too well or not, but the latest rumble of thunder in the Salzburg skies just shook my commentary position. I was wobbling from left to right for a little bit there. Still plenty of storms in the area. Spiel unterbrochen, as it says on the big screen. The game suspended for now. We do keep our fingers crossed. The forecast here suggests that rain might be easing up soon. It hasn't been entirely accurate today. This was hopefully supposed to pass between the hours of about 4 and 7. We hoped that the worst of it would be over before kickoff. Instead, it happened the other way round. The worst just began in the build-up to kickoff. Luckily, it's not the latest of kickoff times locally in Austria, just coming up to 7:45 local time here in Salzburg. So, assuming that within the next half an hour or maybe even within an hour, if things change, there should still be time to get the match completed this evening. It's really out of everybody's hands, though, of course. Salzburg's first European game this season, and it's been cut short early on at 0-0. The ball was not rolling or bouncing on the turf. It was borderline comical, the players trying to dribble the ball. It was just glued to the turf. They couldn't get anywhere. There's another big rumble of thunder. I do think, if I'm being honest, we'll be waiting a little while here. Some of the Pafos staff and the players getting out to just keep an eye on the pitch, just give it a test, see how the ball rolls, but that's a very optimistic approach at the moment. The players are checking the forecasts, staying relaxed, staying ready to go. Still, just over 3/4 of this match left to be played. It is no insignificant contest tonight. Salzburg against Pafos. Both teams trying to take a step closer to the UEFA Europa League proper. Getting to the league phase would mean a minimum of around 10 to 15 million euros in prize money. It is big, big money for clubs from both Austria and Cyprus. No doubt about that. hopefully over the course of the evening, if we get underway again, we'll get to see some more of Salzburg's new players. Haris Tabakovic, the 32-year-old Bosnian, he's somebody I'm expecting big things from this season in Salzburg. Tabakovic, having suffered an injury just before the World Cup, unfortunately. He scored in the World Cup qualifiers in the crucial win for Bosnia over Italy, but then wasn't able to really play a major role for Bosnia at the World Cup in North America. Cheers from the crowd in Salzburg as the officiating team test the roll of the ball. I'm not sure it's going to be passing any tests at the moment, this turf. I will be honest with you. The crowd trying their best to influence the decision of the Polish officiating team into feeling like it's all right. Well, good to see the crowd taking some enjoyment out of the turf tests, at least. Every roll of the ball greeted by great cheers. There's nothing else except staying dry to be done. It's a great through ball into the box. Oh, surely that's handball. Well, there we go. That was the best I can do in terms of drumming up excitement for the pitch test. The ball was intended there to roll into the net, but it stopped well short of its intended target. And fair play to Damian Silvestrizak and his team. They are really going through the full testing process, but surely they must know, as the ball doesn't even bounce a single centimetre off the turf inside the 6-yard box, surely they would have known long before the conclusion of that test that the pitch is not ready for a restart, unfortunately. Well, it's something that I've never really thought about before, but as I see the referee and the two linesmen walk off the pitch and head back down the tunnel, I wonder if they've got spare refereeing outfits. Not that it would do too much good to get changed now. A bit of a temporary relief, because as soon as they head back out for the next test, they'll be soaked through again. Going back to some of Salzburg's new players, who I'm hoping we'll get a look at tonight. Nicolas Sarachnik, who we've seen already, formerly of WAC in Austria, played 45 times for Mainz in the German Bundesliga. Now he's back in Austria with the Red Bulls, and he's made a lightning start to the season. A goal in the Cup, a goal in the friendly against Gornik. He's taken over the captain's armband, the 23-year-old Sarachnik, from the fullback position. Really somebody to watch this season for Salzburg. Two new defenders alongside him as well in Dominik Schmid, one of the players with more experience, the 28-year-old centre-back from Switzerland. Can play as a fullback as well, Dominik Schmid. A real chance creator, the former GC and Basel man. Joined Salzburg after a second spell in Basel. Played more than 100 times for both GC in Zurich and in Basel. Kevin Boumar as well, the Togolese centre-back, somebody to keep an eye on this season, joining from Estoril in Portugal. Boumar already making a strong start in the early games this time. Abu Bari as well, somebody that anybody who's familiar with Austrian football will be well aware of. Abu Bari, really the key man in Austria Vienna's midfield last season. The Gambian, such an important player for the Violets, and now set to be a really important player for Salzburg. It was one of those signings where Barry was just so impressive at Austrian Bundesliga level that Salzburg couldn't help but notice it, and then he came to Salzburg with Austria Vienna, Barry, and scored a brilliant goal. Lovely curling finish against the Red Bulls. And the backroom staff thought, right, that's it, let's get him. And they got it done in the summer. He was keen to join Salzburg. The club wanted the move, a player wanted the move, and it was signed and sealed. Tough tackling midfielder Barry. No stranger to a caution. Sometimes you need a bit of bite in the midfield. You need that toughness. It was something that was a real linchpin of Salzburg teams of old. Back in the most successful era, 5, 6, 7 years ago, they always had a central midfielder or a defensive midfielder who was not afraid to get stuck into the challenges, to win the ball back, just to break up the play really effectively. And in Abu Barry, they've got somebody to do that. I know Polish fans are keenly watching out as well for the 19-year-old midfielder Bartosz Mazurek. Poland under-19 international, joined from Jagiellonia Białystok. Scored 4 times for Jagiellonia last season. 35 appearances at senior level already last season in Poland. Jagiellonia Białystok finished level on points in the Ekstraklasa with Górnik. Górnik Zabrze, a team that was beaten 2-1 by Salzburg in a pre-season friendly. Haris Tabakovic, I've already mentioned, Salzburg's new number 9, the man to score goals. Really, on nights like this, signed as that fox in the box, somebody who can bury a loose ball here or there, maybe just a bludgeon in the FC Salzburg attack, somebody that can get them ahead in tough games, put them 1-0 up when deadlock is hard to break. Didn't really drop off in Germany, Tabakovic. Well, I'm just being told in my ear that there isn't any information yet, but I will get it as soon as it comes, and I will pass that information over to you as soon as it comes. At the moment, though, it's still a holding pattern here in Salzburg. If you're wondering what's happened, you did miss the start of the game if you're just joining us now. We got about 20 minutes into the contest before referee Damian Silvestrijak felt that it was best to stop. The ball wasn't rolling, the ball wasn't bouncing. The heavy rain has brought a halt to proceedings in Salzburg for now. It's still FC Salzburg 0, Pafos FC 0. It's a bit of a twist of fate, actually, that we're not underway here, because tonight's game should actually be in Limassol. The way the UEFA draw was done, with Salzburg seeding and their European coefficient ranking, it should be Salzburg away first, and this game would be the second leg taking place here in Salzburg next week, but that isn't possible. And I'm sure many of you will know the reason why. It's because the UEFA Super Cup is taking place at this very venue. Stadion Salzburg, the venue for the game between PSG and Aston Villa next week. Hopefully in far better weather conditions than this. The preparations for that game already clear to see around about the Red Bull Arena. Already big apologies, I just cut off the story about the UEFA Super Cup being here next week, as I got the information, as you can see on your screens now as well. The next check of the turf from the refereeing team will commence at 1:15, so in just about 15 minutes' time, the officials will be back out to see if anything's improved. You can see the level of the rain that's falling is still pretty significant, but a little bit less than before. Whether the pitch drainage has worked quickly enough for a restart in the next 20 or 30 minutes, who knows, I'm afraid. But we hold out hope. Still FC Salzburg 0, Pafos 0 if you're just joining us. We got just under halfway through the first half. We only got just over a quarter of an hour of action, actually, with one real highlight, the shot from Gausu Diakite that was just wide of the right angle. It had Majecki, the Pafos keeper, beaten. Salzburg had corner after corner but couldn't really make anything of them. And with only just over a quarter of an hour gone, the referee Damian Silvestrjak of Poland felt that the game could not continue, and in fairness, you had to say that appeared to be the only sensible decision given the state of the pitch at that time. Has it improved? We hope so. So what I was saying before I got summoned to a quick chat about the weather was that this should actually be the second leg here in Salzburg. Initially the idea would have been to play the home leg second. Should have been a first game away in Limassol and then the second leg in Salzburg, but the UEFA Super Cup takes place here next week. It wasn't possible to host two games in 2 days, with one of them being the Super Cup, a massive organisational hurdle for the team at Salzburg. You can see the Red Bull signage up inside the stadium here, the Europa League qualifying bits and bobs around the place as well, but on the outside of the stadium, all the branding, all the UEFA branding is still being put up for the UEFA Super Cup. When I arrived tonight, the first thing I saw was a massive banner on the one side of the stadium, proudly proclaiming that it's PSG against Aston Villa. Well, not tonight, it's not. A big European season opener taking place in Salzburg. It's a lovely stadium, this. Renovated and built into the shape that it is now for UEFA Euro 2008. Austria hosted that competition, of course, with Switzerland back then. Many of the big stadiums in Austria were renovated or built for Euro 2008. This one no exception. It's a great city to visit. It's going to be a great place for the Super Cup to take place too. I'm sure a lot of fans coming over from Paris, coming over from England as well. They're going to enjoy themselves next week. It's great food in the city, great views as well. Presuming that the weather is a little better than today. You can always walk up to the castle. Wonderful views around the old town, one of Austria's most beautiful old cities. Lots of river views, lots of famous old streets and alleys. A really lovely place for a tourist to come. Lovely place for us to come tonight for the game, but it hasn't really panned out the way that we wanted. Heavy, heavy rain and storms, putting a temporary, we hope, a temporary halt to proceedings here. To everybody who has stuck with us on the international feed of the game so far, well, it's great to still have you here. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for your support. Hopefully the check of the turf in 10 minutes' time will yield a better result than the last one. If you are watching on YouTube around the world, give us a like. Let us know where you're watching. And give us a fingers crossed as well. Give us something like that to bring us a bit of luck with the weather.
Gut, dass ein Arbeiter sitzt, der voll nass ist.
For those who are asking, or for those who are wondering, we're just over 5 minutes away from the next check. Referee Damian Silvestre-Jacques will be back out on the turf to see whether the ball will bounce and see whether it will roll with some semblance of normality. If it does, then I think we've got a good chance of getting back underway. The rain noticeably lighter than it was when play was underway. Hopefully the players have been able to keep themselves warm. They'll get another warm-up period if the turf is deemed ready to go. The players will have a chance to get a quick warm-up in again before the new kick-off time. There's still more than half an hour in, including the stoppage time, really, before half-time. So there's a long way to go in this tie yet. It's only the first leg. We haven't got very far into it. We haven't yet had a goal. Salzburg 0, Pafos 0. The teams battling to face the loser of the Champions League quali tie between Mjällby of Sweden and Slovan Bratislava of Slovakia. Slovan Bratislava, the 2-1 leaders in perhaps a surprise result in the first leg. A couple of late goals helped them get past the Swedish champions of 2025. The loser of that tie will face the winner of this one in the Europa League playoff round. the loser of this one. Not that we want to think about that eventuality yet. They'll play Alda of Latvia or Dinamo City of Albania. So the FC Salzburg players are having a look at the turf. The referee's about to do the same. That's the biggest cheer of the night so far, without a doubt. Referee Sylvester Jacques has managed to roll the ball successfully into the back of the net. Maybe a sign that the turf test is going to be passed this time around. If that one gets over the halfway line as well, then things aren't looking too bad. There wasn't much of a bounce inside the 6-yard box. Don't know exactly how much of a bounce the ball has to get to pass in these kind of situations. For some sense of comparison here, the latest game tonight in UEFA competition is the Europa League qualification tie between Benfica and Hearts, which is kicking off in about 40 minutes' time, but in Lisbon it's an hour earlier than it is here. Elsewhere, Thun currently underway against Víkingur Reykjavik. And they would be about level in terms of time with this tie. A lot of the other games tonight already up to about the hour mark inside the second half. A few of the games have already finished. Kups in Finland, Jagiellonia Bialystok and Maccabi Tel Aviv. Those Europa League qualifiers have already finished for the first leg. Plenty still underway. Lots of Conference League games just about 10 minutes away from kickoff as well, so it wouldn't be the latest game rather of the night if we were to get kickoff soon, but let's see. I'm not sure what to make of what we saw there with the referee rolling the ball around. The one end seemed rather better than the other, but it's still pretty sticky over in the one penalty area. We wait the referee's decision. Nothing more that we can do, I'm afraid. 16 minutes into the game. We've taken a pretty long break now. Stoppage over an hour already. The referee calling everybody in for a chat. The decision will be made soon. We keep our fingers crossed. I do have to feel for the away fans, presumably many with flights booked home for tomorrow. Not such an inconvenience for the Salzburg home fans. I don't know what the preferred outcome would be if the game cannot continue tonight. Would it be tomorrow evening? Would it be tomorrow during the day? I must confess, I've seen a lot in football. I've commentated on a lot of games, but I'm not sure if there's a preferred slot or a default slot that a rained-off game will go into. What I do know for sure is that both of these teams and UEFA will be doing everything they can in consultation with the referee and the players to try and get this game finished tonight, whether it means a late night or not. game remains suspended for now due to the heavy rain, the sodden pitch in Salzburg. No goals in the first quarter of an hour, plus a little bit of change that we did get before the rain stoppage. Well, it's not exactly the European kickoff that FC Salzburg were dreaming of. Pafos have already played around to get here, of course. They played against Hajduk Split, lost 2-0 in the first leg, managed to equalise that with a couple of brilliant goals, actually. Guga scored a fantastic long-range strike to inspire the Pafos fight back. They looked absolutely possessed in their game in the second leg. It was attack, attack, attack from Pafos right from the outset. Guga put the one up, and then David Goldar, the Spanish defender, glancing in a header in stoppage time to equalise things at 2-2. Pafos tied up with Hajduk Split. It went to extra time, and Pafos cruised through with a 4-0 victory in the second leg after extra time. That's how they got here. Salzburg, by dint of their third place finish in the Austrian Bundesliga, begin their European campaign at the third round stage of Europa League qualifying. It's the first time in a long while that there hasn't been even a chance of Salzburg getting through the qualifiers into the Champions League. Salzburg were regular fixtures in the Champions League for a good number of years. They had some iconic European nights, got through the group stage once as well, got into the knockout stages against FC Bayern for Pafos. They wrote club history last year. They survived 3 rounds of qualifying, which is something that is very, very rarely seen on the European stage. 3 rounds of Champions League qualifying. And a club that were only formed 12 years ago. They won their first league title a couple of seasons back. They've won 2 cups now in the last 3 years. But getting to the Champions League phase is really up there with their title wins as one of their biggest achievements in the history of this young club. They beat Maccabi Tel Aviv, they beat Dynamo Kyiv, they beat Crvena Zvezda or Red Star Belgrade as well, getting through 3 ties. They won all 3 away games in that qualifying run as well. They actually didn't manage to win an away game in the UEFA Champions League proper, so a lot of statistical databases will tell you that Pafos FC are not a great team away from home in European football, but the qualifiers make a bit of a mockery of that, to be honest. They won the away legs against Maccabi Tel Aviv, Dynamo Kyiv and Crvena Zvezda. At home they won 1 and drew 2. Often their specialism was getting the job done away from home and then just sealing things up on home turf. That's exactly what they'll be looking to do, given that the tie has been spun around in their favour in terms of the fixtures. At least it should be Salzburg with that home advantage in the second leg, which is mostly what the teams want. If they got their choice, if they had their way, you'd play the away leg first and then try and get a result to bring back home to get across the line in front of the home faithful. And this time, because of the Super Cup, of course, it's Pafos who are away first. They have the home advantage for the second leg. It's going to be a late night for young fans like this man. The youngster with the Karim Konate jersey. He'll have enjoyed the game at the weekend. Karim Konate, the Ivorian striker. Feels like he's been around forever, but still only 22 years of age, Konate. Scored against Gornik in the friendly. Scored an 89th minute winner on match day 1 of the Bundesliga season as well. So Konate on the bench tonight, but somebody on really good form if he does get a run out in the second half, if there is indeed a second half. Well, the night has got a lot later, I'm sure, for a lot of you watching at home who were expecting us to be in the second half by now, and looking towards the end of the game, looking towards the final phase. It's not the case. We're 16 minutes in and we're stuck thanks to heavy rain, which has rendered the turf unplayable. I hope you can all stay up. I hope you can stay through to the conclusion of the game. I hope there is a conclusion to the game tonight. It's still fingers crossed on that front. We saw the referees out on the pitch just around about 10 minutes ago. Their tests were finished. They went back off down the tunnel. Took some team officials from both sides for the discussions, but we haven't seen the upshot of that yet. We haven't seen or heard if any decision has been made in terms of how long we'll wait, when the players can get back out to resume training and getting their warm-ups in before they restart, or indeed if the game will restart tonight. Everything still in that holding pattern. We do not know if the match will continue, but we hope it will. That's all the information I have so far. Bit of hopium. Well, the crowd would love it, of course, if the game can restart soon. That's what everybody's waiting for. Everybody sticking around, keeping fingers crossed. But you do have to imagine that if the game does restart tonight, it's not really going to be conducive to the best quality of football that we'll see in Europa League qualifying. Not really too much of a surprise that the best chance, the only moment for the highlight reel really from the 15 or 16 minutes that we did play came from a long distance shot from Diakite. There's no real way to pass the ball through the defence and knock the ball around neatly on that kind of turf. Diakite hammering the ball towards goal from just under 30 yards out and just missed the target. You wonder if long shots would remain a major tactic, a key strength that the teams can try and use against the opposition keepers. That's the same for both teams, of course. Salzburg won't care if it's a beautiful win or not, though. If the game does get back underway and they can force something home, force a good result over the line somehow tonight. Really tough in these conditions to play football that's easy on the eye, but I think the fans at the moment would take football of any kind. If you're watching in Brazil, by the way, I know the feed going out all around the world. I understand that you might be rooting for Pafos, given that there are plenty of Brazilians in the squad, not least the legend himself, David Luiz. It's Bruno Felipe, former Bundesliga player in Austria as well, actually, Bruno Felipe. Played at Lustenau in the second division in Austria, played for Lask in the top division too. A lot of links with Austrian football and Brazil. There's Biel, the new signing as well for Pafos. Jaja, who's out injured tonight, unfortunately. Anderson Silva, Lele as well. A lot of Brazilian talent. A lot of Portuguese talent too in the Pafos FC side, but Red Bull Salzburg have had their fair share of Brazilians over the years. André Ramalho, the centre-back, was somebody who I used to love to watch at the heart of the Salzburg defence. Fernando as well joined up front from Shakhtar Donetsk. Douglas Mendes just left the club but headed back to Red Bull Bragantino. Never really broke through, Mendes, with Red Bull Salzburg. There's Bernardo as well. Carlos Coronel, the goalkeeper, making his breakthrough at Red Bull Salzburg too. Plenty of Brazilian links over the years with the Red Bulls. So I'm not sure if it's good news or bad, but there'll be another check at 8:45 on the turf. So that's it. We remain hopeful, but we know nothing more. We'll see the referee out with the linesman again in just about 10 minutes' time. Sylvestre Jacques and co will be rolling the ball once more. There was a big cheer when he rolled it into the back of the net at the last check. But the one end in front of the Salzburg home fans, and in front of the Ultras group, that appeared to be a bit more playable. But down at the other end, that one was not running smoothly at all. I know some of you will wonder why heavy rain leads to the cancellation of games, or the suspension of games in this case so far. It's certainly not about the players getting wet. It's just impossible to really create a fair contest at the level that UEFA want and the level that the teams and the UEFA Europa League as a competition deserves. When the ball can't bounce, there's no way to dribble. When play was stopped, we'd seen a couple of times where Pafos were trying to drive the ball forward, the likes of Domingos Quina just pushing it down the right flank, and the ball was just sticking to the ground right in front of every step that he made. It was impossible to dribble forward without stepping over the ball and getting it caught up in your heels. Passes weren't hitting their targets. The ball was stopping in its tracks just 1 or 2 feet after it had left the boot of the passer. The ball didn't have any bounce on it at all in the 6-yard box. The likelihood of a really lucky goal or a really ugly goal deciding the tie was just too high. And so we hope that things can continue in better conditions soon. So the next thing on the timeline is the next check of the turf from the officiating team. They'll be back out in just a couple of minutes at Stadion Salzburg. They'll be rolling the ball across the two penalty areas. They'll test how the pitch is looking in the midfield, which during the last check was looking all right. You can still see driving rain coming down in Salzburg, but it's much, much lighter than it was before. Well, you know things are bad when you're getting highlights of the previous ball rolling test going out on the stream. But the referee's back out there and testing again this time, and it does look to be a little better. Again, whether it meets the criteria for referee Damian Silvestrizak to feel that the game is ready to continue, we will not know for a little while. But he tested the penalty area, which looked worse last time. And there was definitely some improvement this time around. Let's hope it's all just as good as it was, and a little better in the other penalty area, but that one wasn't really the spot that I was too worried about. The ball was rolling pretty well in front of the Salzburg Ultras half an hour ago. Not that I know what referee Sylvester Jacques was thinking, but you would imagine that the decision to wait another half hour was largely based on the other penalty area not looking good at all. So they've tried that one first this time. They had a little bit of a spring in their step, the officials, coming up towards the other penalty area. I just wonder if it's going to be okay here. The ball looks to be rolling just fine. The crowd can feel it, I think. Does it pass the bounce test inside the 6-yard box? There's not much of a bounce, but something's better than nothing. And let's see, the referee's going to head off back down the tunnel. He's going to gather the delegations of the two teams again, and hopefully, I've used that word a lot tonight, but hopefully we'll get word on a resumption, on a kick-off time for the remainder of the first half. You can see the clock still frozen at 16 minutes and 13 seconds. The score still locked at Salzburg 0, Pafos 0. There's a lot more football to be played, maybe tonight.
Salzburg direkt, oder? Ja. Was kann der produziert? Keine Ahnung. Wahrscheinlich eh wieder TVN oder so. Ist ja glaube ich Host.
This feels like crunch time, to be honest. The referee off down the tunnel, the door shut behind him. This is where the big decision gets made. You'd feel that perhaps if there's no real timeline to resume the game after this check, maybe we'll be looking at a cancellation for this evening and a postponement for another day. Or maybe we'll get the go-ahead for the teams to come back out and train. Maybe another kick-off time. That would be the best case scenario for many. But let's see. Cypriot fans still patient in the corner, and Cypriot fans watching might be interested to know that Lincoln Red Imps have just conceded an injury time leveller against Omonia Nicosia. 1-1 in that Europa League qualification tie. It looked like it would have been a big win for Lincoln Red Imps, but a late goal from Mateo Maric has levelled things up for Omonia. the game in Salzburg next Wednesday, the game that will be watched all around the world, the UEFA Super Cup, Paris Saint-Germain against Aston Villa, Champions League winners against Europa League winners. Both teams with remarkable European seasons in the campaign just gone. And they'll meet to try and add another trophy to the cabinet next Wednesday, right here at Stadion Salzburg. A real honour for Austrian football to be hosting the UEFA Super Cup. Fans from big clubs will descend on Salzburg. Aston Villa, a team who've risen in English football in recent years, back to something near their best years under the tutelage of Unai Emery. And there's a big Unai Emery link with Pafos FC, of course, too. The coach who brought them so much success was Emery's former understudy. That's the news we've been waiting for. That's what we've kept our fingers crossed for. The restart of play in just over 15 minutes time at 9:15 local in Salzburg. The teams are back out, they're warming up, they're getting ready to go again. The pitch is playable again, and we should restart the first half at 0-0, 16 minutes in just over a quarter of an hour. The action from this UEFA Europa League third qualifying round game between FC Salzburg and Pafos FC is set to resume. Well, Valentin Zabransky and Nicholas Farachnik looking pretty pleased with the decision to go ahead. They're getting fired up to go once more Salzburg were bossing the game before the stoppage. Corner after corner. The one good shot that was just off target just flew past the right angle from the boot of Diakite. But Salzburg were the dominant team on home turf. Will that be the case again when we get restarted? Can they find the flow that they were somehow managing to find despite the heavy rain and the waterlogged pitch? It's all a little bit better now. Stress on a little bit. It's still not going to be perfect out there, of course, but crucially it has been deemed good enough to continue. It's safe for the players, and the ball's going to roll freely enough, and hopefully we'll get all the way through to the end. Half an hour to go until half time, and that's once we get restarted. We'll have to wait for 15 minutes before the teams get back out and the ball gets going again. For now, it's warm-up time, and out come the Red Bull Salzburg players. The home faithful cheering on their side as Salzburg get ready and get geared up to go again in this first leg. Salzburg 0, Pafos 0. We wait for the resumption of play in just about 15 minutes time. Hopefully you're still with us. Thank you to everybody who hung on through a really long stoppage. The game was suspended at around about 7:15 local time. It's now 9 o'clock local time. Much later than planned. Hopefully the fans will all still be able to get home okay. I'm sure some of the young ones have unfortunately been taken home to go to bed. It's turning into too much of a late night, given that we've still got a lot of football left to be played. Danny Röhl emerging from the tunnel. It's surely not the European debut with FC Salzburg that he imagined. I do have to say though, if you looked at the forecast, it was pretty clear that heavy rain and storms were expected today in Salzburg. There was always a chance that this would happen. The delay longer than we would have wanted, but such things are an inevitability sometimes. There's no way the pitch was playable. Lovely to see Danny Röhl taking time for a couple of signatures, some autographs with the fans, some photos, some selfies with some of the young fans as well. It's a high pressure game, a high pressure competition. Qualification for the next round and potentially millions of euros on the line, but the players have done what they can to stay relaxed and stay ready to get back out there, and the coach clearly has done the same. Big job for him this, Danny Röhl. Really interesting CV that he's got so far. Started out as an analyst, an assistant in the German setup, with RB Leipzig as well, the Red Bull link of course. Managed at Sheffield Wednesday, a struggling club in England, the financially troubled Wednesday, the Owls, who dropped out of the second division. A really big name in English football though, and Röhl was a popular figure there for a while. Moved up north, stayed in Great Britain, moved to Glasgow with Rangers, leaving at the end of last season. And now a new challenge, a new chapter awaits with FC Salzburg. It's a really exciting young squad. What a contrast as well. Pafos with one of the oldest averages in European football this season. Their average wasn't far below 30 in the second leg against Hajduk Split, a really experienced team of players at Pafos, even if the club itself is young and only formed a little over a decade ago. Salzburg, on the other hand, giving senior chances to the likes of Zamierzycki. Really high praise for him from within the club. People here just saying that he just conducts himself like a number one. There's no doubt when Schlager left that the chance would be given to Zamierzycki this season, and that doesn't change with the arrival of Christian Früchtl. It's just sensible to have a more experienced backup goalkeeper for Salzburg. Experienced keepers have left in recent years, with Schlager leaving in the summer. Blaswich left not long ago as well. Now they've got young goalkeepers, Zamierzycki and Szarczewicz as well, both 19 years of age, both with more experience at Liefering really at second division level, but Zamierzycki's been handed the starting place in goal. He has grasped that opportunity with both hands. It actually goes back to last summer when Zamierzycki was the starting goalkeeper in the Club World Cup, which for some fans may be just a bit of fun. But Salzburg did really, really well to squeeze in as the lowest ranked qualifier from Europe. There was a little bit of luck in the way that the teams are allocated their slots at the Club World Cup, but Salzburg snuck in. They didn't do too badly at all. Zamierzycki really one of the players who impressed the most at Salzburg, and that is why now, with the departure of the Austrian number one Alexander Schlager, they had no worries at promoting Zamierzycki to the number one position, and this man Niklas Farachnik will be getting a lot of talk this season too as the new captain. If you're just joining us or you're still with us, we are 5 minutes away from the restart of the much delayed game between Salzburg and Pafos. 9:15 local time will be the restart. The kick-off again with around about 30 minutes remaining in the first half. Still goalless. The rain has eased up. The teams can get back out there and play can get underway once again. Sorry that we can't give you the audio of the interviews. These are unplanned interviews, of course, on the sideline with the local broadcaster from Austria. You might recognise the figure on the right in the interviews, though. It's Sebastian Prödl, the Austrian defender who had a long career. Started out in Austria with Sturm Graz, but really made his name at Werder Bremen in the German Bundesliga, then moved to England. Played at Watford for 5 seasons between 2015 and 2020. Prödl managed 70 Austria caps as well. A really distinguished career. Won the DFB Pokal with Werder Bremen in 2009. It's a shame that we couldn't hear Prödl's input on the game, but now David Luiz looks pretty fired up in what he's saying to the referee. An experienced head, of course, at 39 years of age. David Luiz trying to take control of the situation in Pafos' favour, of course, but he knows that he's got the experience edge over Nicholas Farachnik, but it did look to be some heated words about how the game will restart. I wonder whether it's a discussion of how to restart and where the ball was. And officially, we're still 2.5 minutes away from the time that they announced the restart. I said it would be at 9:15 local time. It's still 2.5 minutes before that, but it looks as though we're about to get underway. 14:20 on the clock. It was frozen at 16 something for a while, but at 14 minutes and 20 seconds, we are back underway again at Stadion Salzburg. Red Bull Salzburg boot the ball long downfield. The dark blue shirts of Pafos FC will get it away. And finally, football is back. It's turned one of the earlier kickoffs of the evening into one of the latest. I'll go back through the starting lineups because it's virtually feeling like a new game. We're 2 hours on from the stoppage after the heavy rain, but look at it now, it's completely different. You've got to give some credit to how good the turf is here. Obviously there are reasons why UEFA were happy to have Stadion Salzburg as the host of the UEFA Super Cup next week, but nobody's been out really with the big brooms kind of brushing the water to the sidelines. Instead it's the turf drainage that's done all the work. Salzburg can intercept the pass. It's a good drop-off touch around the corner. Now Salzburg galloping forward towards the box. Majecki had to hold on tight, and he did so. Edmund Baidu was there. Just a minute after the restart, Salzburg picked off the pass in midfield, and they worked it forward quickly. That's a great touch around the corner. It was Vertessen who opened the door. The shot from the edge of the box. Baidu going close. Diakite was charging in there as well for the rebound that didn't come his way, and that's a good grab from Radoslav Majecki, you have to say. In these conditions, that's exactly the kind of thing that's going to be a big test for a goalkeeper. Promising start again, though, from FC Salzburg. I'm getting you used to the name FC Salzburg, because that is the name in competitions if Salzburg do qualify for the playoff round and beyond. But actually at this level, third qualifying round in the Champions League and the Europa League, it doesn't count for UEFA as Champions League or Europa League proper, in terms of you don't get the anthems, you don't have to have all the branding, the orange and black with that dynamic swoosh all the way through it that is synonymous with the UEFA Europa League. You don't need that in the stadium from the third qualifying round. After this, it's all fully branded, and Red Bull Salzburg will have to be FC Salzburg. And that's reflected both in the emblems on the shirts and on the scoreboards. Pafos can't get the ball under control down the left-hand side, and it's out for a Salzburg throw. Verachnik ready to take it. Again, it's a swift turn from Jorba Vertessen. Didn't really have a right to get through there. David Goldar, the Spanish centre-back, wins the ball in the end, but it's a rushed clearance from Ioanu. Salzburg have it back in the final third. Into the box they go. Well, dancing through a few challenges there was Guasu Diakite. He's the man who's gone closest. Diakite and Baidu now, both with decent shots towards the target. Clearance straight out for another Salzburg throw. They're applying the pressure, and they have managed to pick up where they left off, Red Bull Salzburg. They were the team applying the pressure before the break, and now 2 whole hours later, the home team are doing the pressing again. It's brought back by Kevin Boma. Back it goes to Zamiashitsky. Boma again. New signing from Estoril, scored twice in 53 appearances at Estoril, only played twice for Red Bull Salzburg, this being his 3rd appearance. That's good running from Vertessen, and he forces David Luiz into the clearance for another Salzburg corner. Well, the home fans who've been patient and they've stuck this out and stuck by the team are being rewarded with an attacking display. Corners from the right were looking a bit more dangerous for Salzburg early on. This one cleared away on the volley from the corner of the 6-yard box. It's chested back again, but Pafos should be able to get it clear. It's a strong challenge. They've done well to skip away, and now there's a little bit of room. Guga is going to give chase. Diakite, did he keep it in? The officials say he did. Dragomir wins it back well. Vlad Dragomir, the number 30 for Pafos, turns possession back around in their favour. Ioanu, David Luiz. Salzburg have done well so far to keep the Pafos back 3 on their toes. It's going to be a free kick there against Verachnik. He's not happy with the decision, but it's a decent set-piece position again for Salzburg to defend. He went down softly, you could say. There wasn't much in it from Verachnik. Captain marshalling his players in white and red. Vlad Dragomir over to take this with Biel. Biel, one of the exciting new signings for Pafos. Didn't see too much of them down the left flank before the stoppage. Dragomir just touches it for Biel. Now Dragomir, the Romanian, has space on the left. Good delivery in, but it's headed out of the box. There's going to be a shot from distance. Well, that's Guga. The Portuguese loves a strike from outside the area. He's got the technique as well. He's got the quality, Guga, to score from that kind of distance. We've seen it before, not least in the game against Hajduk Split. A thunderous strike from a very similar position, but now here goes Diakite again. He's been a live wire tonight. One touch too far. And it's deflected, ricocheting back towards the Pafos goalkeeper, Radoslav Majecki. The Pole can get over to grab it. More promising signs from Guasu Diakite. Only 20 years of age, the Malian. Had a great record at Liefering. 2nd division Austrian football. It's a really physical and tough league for young players to cut their teeth in. So many of the Salzburg players, of course, go through Liefering before being promoted to the senior side, but for somebody who's 20 years of age, he was playing at Liefering even at 17 and 18, got 13 goals in 34 appearances in Austria's 2nd tier. It's a really good return. And then impressed in Switzerland last season on loan with Lausanne. Scored 12 times and was a really regular feature at Lausanne. Now he's sinking his teeth into this campaign with Salzburg. Certainly looks to be one of the most dangerous outlets, Diakite, for Salzburg in the early part of this game, if you can still call it the early part of this game, given that we're 2 hours and 20 minutes after kickoff. Salzburg can keep that in down the left-hand side, but they have to put it out for a throw-in instead of a goal kick. It's better than nothing. It's good thinking from the experienced head Dominik Schmid. Left footer. Fresh at Salzburg from Basel. Salzburg can move it around. Back it comes to Farachnik. Barry looking for an opportunity. You won't expect too much in terms of an attacking outlet from Abu Barry. He's a really important figure in the midfield. Somebody who can really help control the game in your favour. Salzburg were mightily impressed by what Abu Barry was delivering at Austria Vienna, their league rivals. There's a feeling at Salzburg that Abu Barry is actually a bit too good for the Austrian Bundesliga, so they were delighted to be able to secure the services of the Gambian. Vertessen, no way through from the right, but he'll get another Salzburg corner. Ivan Šunjić, he's been kept really busy defensively from the centre of the Pafos midfield. Salzburg were trying to chip the corners from the left-hand side towards the front post. It might be a little bit different from the right. Let's see what the delivery's like this time. Now it's towards the back post. Keeper's got to come and deal with it, and Majecki's done really well. A couple of good grabs from Radoslav Majecki under the circumstances. To be fair, at this point now, midway through the first half, almost 10 minutes after the restart, the pitch does look to be returning to some kind of normality. It's still going to be very, very quick, and of course very, very wet, but the ball's moving really nicely. We're not seeing any of the huge puddles and splashes that we saw before the inevitable stoppage, and referee Damian Silvestrjak felt that there was no way to continue. Louise threads the pass through, and it's an excellent pass. Chance maybe to get a cross in for Lele, but he's blocked off, and it's gone Red Bull Salzburg's way as well. Lele left frustrated. Stubborn defending from Salzburg after what was an excellent pass to unlock the door from David Luiz. His move to Pafos was described by many as a bit of a PR stunt, but sometimes PR moves can pay off. He's happy at Pafos. The team and the fans are really happy with his services, and his experiences have proven invaluable to Pafos. It's been a bit of a rocky road for them in the last season or so that's led to Ricardo Sapinto taking charge. I was mentioning earlier the link with Aston Villa, who are playing here next week, but I'll put that on the sidelines for now because Vertessen is into the box. It just comes off his knee and gets away from the Salzburg number 11. It's still loose in the box. I think Vertessen was the one to block it. Appeals for handball. Diakite was the one with the loudest and largest appeal. The referee's checking his earpiece here. That was a problem all of Pafos' own making. The throw-in wasn't where David Goldar wanted it. He hoofed it clear, but not cleanly. Now what about this? Is there a handball from David Luiz? Is there a handball there? Not at the second time of asking, and it was indeed Vertessen who blocked the shot. Still, another promising sign for Salzburg. It's going to be a goal kick. Well, Baidu came close with a shot on target. It's a bit of a feel-good story for Edmund Baidu that he's back in the starting lineup. He was touted for a move away from Salzburg this summer. Didn't take part fully in the training across the summer training camps. Things got a little bit ugly at times, but the club have kept faith. Baidu has decided, after some good talks with Danny Reul, that he's ready to give his all for the club this season, and Reul clearly believes that as well. Baidu from being potentially frozen out straight back into the starting lineup. That's how much the club believe that the 20-year-old Ghanaian can be of use to them this season. 5 goals and 3 assists in 27 appearances last season. Hasn't scored in 2026 in the previous campaign anyway, but put that right in round 1 of the Cup. For Tessen, who's looking more dangerous as the game wears on. Redzic now switched to the right-hand side. Pafos felt that the throw-in should have gone their way, but it's Salzburg ball. Let's see if they can keep up this pressure, which at times they've built up in this game. Tessen does seem to be struggling to keep control of the ball in these slippery conditions. He's made a few good touches forward, but then the ball's always slipped away from him. Borma holding firm, and the ball's back with Zamiashitsky. Let's see if I can get back to the Unai Emery link. It was his long-time assistant, Juan Carlos Caicedo, who Pafos fans will need no introducing to. Caicedo taking them to their first league and cup titles. Bought himself out of his contract in January of this year. Left the club, and it's been difficult times since then. For Tessen, lines up the shot from range. For Tessen, sends it wide of the post. Majecki at full stretch, but he knew that one was not going to cause him too much danger. More good signs from Salzburg though. That one just drifting away. There were 2 defenders getting across to block it. The contentious moment from earlier, the handball appeal against David Luiz, it would have been extremely harsh, it's fair to say. But it was an awful mess in the Pafos penalty area. Salzburg couldn't quite take advantage of the loose ball. Zamiashitsky gets it out towards the left-hand side. Salzburg looking far calmer when it comes to passing the ball out of defence. Pafos have been a little bit panicked at times. And you feel that Pafos are struggling to deal with some of these quick touches on as Red Bull play their trademark quick transitions forwards. Can they find the efficiency? Maybe a bit of a sore point for Salzburg, given that they took 28 shots against Hartberg on match day 1 of the season. They needed an 89th minute winner. Here's a chance to get something on the board. Ferrachnig with a decent cross. He holds his head in his hands. He side-footed that teasing delivery right through the Pafos penalty area. Lille with the back heel. We'll get a slow-mo of that. And eventually, a promising movement from Pafos turned into another quick transition forward for Salzburg. That is what they can do, the Red Bulls. Heavy pressure on again. Pafos looking for a free kick. They're going down, hoping for all of these to go their way, but the challenges so far have been pretty clean. Salzburg players really well drilled. They know that if you're going to apply heavy pressure from behind and try and win the ball back, you have to be absolutely squeaky clean, because any kind of attacking player in those situations is going to hit the deck. It's a real bugbear for a lot of football fans, I know. It's almost like a gimme. You know you'll get the free kick. If somebody presses from behind, you go down. It's almost an unwritten rule that the free kick will always go your way. Salzburg are treading that line, trying to just come out on the right side of it. For Tessen now, putting the pressure on. Redzic waiting to press over to the right-hand side. He's got a bit of support. 2v2 over there. Redzic blocks the pass. Salzburg have it back, but can they do something with it? Not this time. Really good work, though. Maybe a hint of a Salzburg free kick there, but they've got the ball safely back to the goalkeeper anyway. More than half an hour gone. More than a quarter of an hour gone since the restart after the 2-hour break. Salzburg looking lively. Still 0-0. It's the first leg of the UEFA Europa League third qualifying round. Salzburg third in the Austrian Bundesliga last season. Pafos, the Cypriot Cup winners. Vertessen flicks it on into the box. There's pure pace to get in there. Baidu goes down in the area. Salzburg have the ball back in the meantime. For a split second it looked as though Baidu's pace was going to earn him a massive opportunity. Pass is switched back into the middle. It was a good idea. Now there's one that ricochets back into the box. It's all a little bit messy in the final third, both from the Pafos defenders and at times from the Salzburg attackers. That was the penalty shout. Well, Alexandre Brito, the challenge was not without risk, shall we say. Maybe a little clip of the ankles. You've seen them given as Baidu went down. It would have continued a little theme actually for Edmund Baidu. It was his burst of pace which got him in for the opening goal in the cup win in round one against Oberwart, 7-1. Yes, to be expected. But there, Salzburg were showing their efficiency. And it was Baidu darting into the box that opened the door. And that's really important, and it nearly opened the door here. Louise, again forced to just hammer the ball up to halfway. Salzburg enjoying themselves in this first half. They just need to get their noses in front. Figachnik brings it inside this time. Back it goes towards Kevin Buma. Plenty of movement, plenty of options. Salzburg hold on to the ball with Abu Bari. That's a good pass, breaking the lines. Figachnik can't slip it through this time. Salzburg have done that well before tonight. That time it just broke down, but it's straight back with Barry. Pafos might be feeling that it's going to be a long 10 minutes and then a bit more before the interval. If it stays like this, Salzburg applying all the pressure, making all the running. Another test of the Pafos defence. Brave to try and take the touch, but Baidu gets it back across the box. Oh, that was risky from Ivan Sunic. Tried to play his way out of trouble. A couple of quick touches in the box and almost got robbed again. Clever from Salzburg to keep it there. Figachnik in no hurry. Salzburg in command right now. Vertessen was looking for the 1-2 there with Diakite. It didn't quite come off, but again, I'm sure I'll say this many, many times tonight, but it's back with Barry. So often the man to help Salzburg win the ball back and then get them moving in the other direction with a simple pass here or there. He just does the basics so well. Abu Bari makes it look so easy to control the centre of midfield sometimes. Oh, surely there's a drag back there. That's got to be the first card of the night, you'd think. David Luiz is saying, that's my first one. But it was a cynical one. He's got all the experience in the world, David Luiz, and he knew that he was going into the book there. He's in his second season now with Pafos. Joined on a free transfer from Fortaleza. Played, of course, at PSG, Arsenal, Chelsea. Started at Benfica. He's got an incredible career behind him. Champions League win at Chelsea. He has gone into the book, the first player in the referee's notebook this evening. Really, it's the first set-piece chance that is in the corner. Redzic swings it in. Back post delivery, and Maetsky has had those covered so far this evening. Can Pafos find a little bit more success as Guga drops all the way back into his own D to try and help them get out? It's been panic stations time and time again for Pafos. How many times have we seen somebody closing down what looks to be a bit of a hopeless lost cause, but making a block, preventing Pafos from doing something like this? The long distribution from Luiz. That's a good ball across the middle. It did really well to keep that in, but Barry can pick it up on the corner of the box and hook it away over his head. Pafos need to be winning these. Salzburg come away with it. The free kick is going to go their way too. The home side can regain possession. Dragomir just going in too hard against Soumaïla Diabate. Another Malian looking to make his big breakthrough in the Austrian Bundesliga. So many Malian talents in Austria. In this squad alone tonight, Diakite, Diabate, Diambu as well. Pafos win it back, and there's a dummy in the midfield. Again, the long distribution is the best bet, it seems, for Pafos at the moment. Didn't come to anything that time. The ball too far forward for the 25-year-old Biel, on loan from Sporting Club in Portugal. Free kick. It's gone against Parashnik again, and it's another soft one. I feel like Red Bull Salzburg have met that limit quite well tonight. They've applied the pressure without going over the line, but Pafos have found the way to go down and get the free kicks from referee Sylvestre Jacques. Fiery coach Ricardo Sapinto sent off in the cup final. It was a difficult year last year. Caicedo, as I mentioned, who won them the first title and cup, he left in January of 2026. Siladis was the new coach, but league form dropped off quickly. Fans were unhappy. And Roman Dubov, the investor and chairman, stepped down from his role as chairman at Pafos, somebody who's been instrumental in bringing the club to the forefront of Cypriot football. He's taken a back seat. Siladis was out of a job. In came Ricardo Sapinto. Now, it was a bit of a worrying one for Dominguez Quina. I think he might have gotten a free kick from the referee actually, but he went down with nobody around him. It does not look good. It doesn't appear to really be able to put weight on to that right leg. Surely that's going to be the end of the day for the number 8. It's not looking good at all. You've got to feel a little bit for Pafos. Lost Jaja, the right winger, to an ACL injury in that fantastic win against Hajduk. He's expected to be out for many months. Every football fan knows how serious an ACL injury is, and hopefully it's nothing of the sort for Quina just now, but it doesn't look good in terms of the number 8 continuing. Let's see. I have seen players run off worse, but we'll see how it pans out for him. Salzburg back in possession. They'll attack down the left-hand side this time, patiently. Cross it comes to Diakite. This time he'll spread it over towards Damir Redzic, who's switched between left and right flanks this evening. Trying his luck still on the right-hand side this time. Good movement in the middle. Farajnik, I'm not sure if he attempted to get a little touch on that and nick it around the defender into a position where he could win it back once he'd gone around the corner. Didn't make any contact. So last few minutes before the interval. Is there to be a late goal in the first half for Salzburg? It's flicked into the box and it needed the defensive header. Biel was there. It's not where he wants to be, deep inside his own penalty area, but it's where he had to be. The cross was drifting towards the back post dangerously. And Pafos are going to make the change here now. As Ken Sema a versatile Swede who comes on. It's the end of the day, of course, for Dominguez Quina. Corner flicked on this time. Salzburg do win the flick on at the front post. They've been looking for those from the left-hand side all throughout this first half without much success, and then finally one comes whipped in from the right-hand side, and the flick on was there. Nobody able to get to the second ball and meet it, though. Sima, who joined in January of 2025, played at Watford, one of the old haunts of Sebastian Prödel, who's doing the touchline interviews. 60 appearances Ken Sima has made for Pafos without scoring yet, but given the injury to Jaja, you wonder if Ken Sima will play a bit more of an advanced role today, especially now he's replacing Quina as well. Maybe a good chance for him to get a first Pafos goal. We hope not, though. Salzburg looking the team more likely to open the scoring. Dragomir has the ball. Good cross, and a header towards the target. Quickly became awkward for Christian Zawieszczycki. The goalkeeper's got the height and the calmness to recover without too much trouble. Something, though, something for Pafos to cheer about, because they have been very light on chances throughout this first 45. Salzburg exploring the left-hand side once again. Vertessen in the middle. Now Veracnik moving in. Redzic is there, great ball back across. That was cleverly done. Majecki will be happy to pounce on that one. That was so nearly a lovely bit of link-up play. Again, the drifting cross towards the back post. Damir Redzic in position. Just sent it rolling across, but it was too close to the keeper. And Veracnik, theoretically a full-back, but playing far more advanced football today, given the way that this match has panned out. He was the one that maybe wasn't quite brave enough to take a gamble on that by nipping into the 6-yard box. Whistle goes offside. Salzburg will get it restarted. The young defender Zabranski. Big chance for him this season, also 19 years of age, new in the senior side, having only played for Liefering before this season. Again, the dribble into the box just slips away at the last minute. We've seen that 3 or 4 times now. Salzburg pushing forward towards the edge of the area, but when it comes to the technical skill in these sodden conditions, still the ball very slippery, of course. Everybody's socks and boots will be completely soaked through. It's so hard to keep control of the ball when you try the quick technical movements on the edge of the box with a couple of defenders around you. And now we have just 30 seconds remaining in the first half. That's all. Just the 1 minute of stoppage time says something about how few chances we've seen, and just a space looked like it might be opening up for Jorba Vertessen. The offside flag is raised. Let's have another look. Oh, he's surely not offside there. I'm not sure about that. He looked to be a good foot onside, actually. Don't like to be too critical of the officials, but that has robbed Salzburg of an attack, which is probably the end of the first half, and indeed it is. The whistle blows from referee Damian Silvestrijak, and a good 2 hours after the first half was supposed to end, the first half does come to a close. It's FC Salzburg 0, Pafos FC 0 in the third qualifying round for the UEFA Europa League. No breakthrough yet. Baidu's gone close. Diakite went close before the break. They've looked the most dangerous for Red Bull Salzburg, but it remains goalless at half-time.
Was sagt denn der Akku von der A7? Mal schauen, was der Akku von der A7 sagt. Stimmt jetzt, das ist ja dann.
waiting for the rebound. There are goals in this second half for Red Bull Salzburg. Can they go and get them and secure themselves an all-important lead before the second leg in Limassol next week? 45 minutes to come from Stadion Salzburg, the Red Bull Arena, and it's Pafos in dark blue who will get us going. Vertessen looked a live wire at times in the first half. Baidu as well grew into the game. Diakite, a thorn in the Pafos side throughout. Verachnig continuing his composed best. That's shown him to be worthy of taking over the captain's armband for the beginning of this new Salzburg campaign. They've won the ball back really well there. Was Redzic fouled? I think he was. And Sema, the substitute, is maybe going to be in a bit of trouble. He's getting a talking to from the referee, and he's getting a caution as well. He's not happy about it, the Swede Ken Sema. I don't think he can have too many complaints. That was won back masterfully on the edge of the final third for Salzburg. And once Damir Redzic took the first touch there, he was away from Sema, and Sema couldn't let him go. It's a pretty clear-cut case of a caution. He joins David Luiz in the referee's notebook. It's a front foot start to the second 45 minutes from Red Bull Salzburg. Biel, a player lying down behind the wall. Nicholas Verachnig looks to be the one ready to take this. He's the only one standing over it. Biel's given up on lying down. Verachnig goes direct. It's onto the roof of the net, but no more. He adds to the growing list of chances for the highlight reel from FC Red Bull Salzburg. Got it up and over the wall. Couldn't quite dip it down. It was dipping. It was dropping. Majecki knew it, but just not enough. How long in this second half until we see some attacking changes for Salzburg, you wonder? Pafos have already been forced into one change with Dominguez Quina going off, injured. Sema's come on and now finds himself in the book. Baidu trying to test David Luiz, who's also in the book and has to be careful. Cross is low, difficult one for anybody to control in the midfield. It's looped out of the box and they'll try and get it back into the box. Diakite trying to flick it forward for Vertessen, but now Sema can break away and attack. Verachnig sticking to his task and doing really well, but Sema's still going here. The strength and the power of the Swede on the wing, and they cannot bring him down. Now it's going to go all the way back for a free kick much earlier on. It was advantage played by referee Damian Silvestrijak. He's taken it all the way back to the shirt tug from a good 5 or 6 seconds ago. It was a bit of 50-50 there. Verachnig was having his shirt tugged as well, but he was probably the instigator, in fairness. Pafos free kick. It's not the all-out attacking spectacle that we saw from them in the second leg against Hajduk Split. They waited for that one until the home leg. They've got the home leg to come next week. For now, though, Dragomir with the free kick, and it's a decent delivery. Zawierzycki, in the end, the only one behind it. Maybe wasn't as decent as it first appeared as it was flying towards the Salzburg box. Good solid challenge. The block with the sidestep from Redzic, and it'll be a Salzburg throw for Abu Bari. Really important to sign players like Abu Bari. It's painful for the league rivals, but they've weakened Austria Vienna significantly with the purchase of Bari, and they've strengthened their own midfield greatly. Red Bull Salzburg, that's a lovely leave. Bari smart enough to know that that would drop back for Valentin Zabransky. Diabate plays it across to Bulma. Now the turf has dried out somewhat. The players can zip it around and find a few passes between themselves, and they're waiting for the opportunity to open up Salzburg. We can forgive both of these sides for not hitting their free-flowing best in the first half, given the stoppage, given the puddles all over the pitch, and the sticky ball on the turf. Now it's a bit different. Now it feels like football can really be played. Salzburg can attack this second half. Baidu clips it into the middle, nobody there. It's sliced away by the shin of Biel. Pafos again, they've looked a little panicked in defence all night when they've been called upon. Biel shanking that away, didn't back himself to bring it down and maybe find a teammate. It would have been dangerous, but hooking the ball out of the box with no clear target's dangerous too, and this could be dangerous. Verachnik clips it over, spins away maybe for a corner, throw in instead. Salzburg substitutes down below me on the left. I like what they see. Abu Bari. Calm, almost nonchalant as you'd expect Barry. It's recycled via Diabate. Diabate again. Just waiting for that movement in the middle. Vertessen moving. Diakite drifting in, but nobody can get it across to a player in white and red. The Salzburg pressure holds up though. They can recycle it once again and they'll get another chance maybe for something to penetrate the penalty area. This time it's forward into the D. The link up finds Vertessen. Tries to get it back onto the right foot for the shot, but he was in a bit of a cul-de-sac there. Blue shirts swarming around him now. Redzic into the box, goes for the back heel there. He's going to win this back here, Redzic. Pafos, architect of their own downfall again. It's clipped back into the middle. And finally, a bit of calm game management from who else but David Luiz. Haris Tabakovic there and Soto Kitano, two figures who you would expect to see during the course of this second half. Many surprised that Tabakovic didn't start. It's an exciting signing, Haris Tabakovic at Austrian Bundesliga level. Really solid goal records. A worthy new number 9. Played on loan at Borussia Mönchengladbach last season. Scored a healthy total of 15 goals in his loan spell there. Only managed to find the net 4 times in just under 30 appearances for parent club Hoffenheim. Before that, of course, scored for fun at Hertha Berlin. And he's well known to Red Bull Salzburg and the Austrian fans too, because he really broke through at Austria Vienna. It's a bit of a series of transfers of former Austria Vienna players this season. Tabakovic is one, Früchtl, the new goalkeeper, is another. 80 appearances in goal for the Violets of Vienna. Abu Bari, as mentioned as well, pinched from their midfield. Pafos are going to win this back. It's the first time that Pafos have a chance to take over possession right on the edge of the final third. Sima, good powerful running now. He's imposing himself as a force in attack. This is going to be volleyed by the number 6 Guga. Sliced off the outside of the shin, the top side of the leg. No problem at all for Zamierzycki. Not the quality that we've come to expect maybe from Guga, who is no stranger to a stunning goal. Danny Röhl, does he like what he's seen or not in the first 8.5 minutes of this second half? It has been mostly Salzburg. There is a little bit of a growing danger from the visitors though, and the pressure grows as time ticks on as well, because Salzburg really need to take a lead with them to Limassol, you feel. Of course they can get the job done over there in Cyprus, but how much better it would feel going there with an advantage in their pocket. And they would be worthy scorers of the opening goal if they were to get one. Throw in taken quickly. Redzic can move forward. He's got Vertessen. The ball clipped over to the right-hand side. It was behind Edmund Baidu, who will keep it in though. Diakite in the middle. Vertessen in the middle. Redzic in the middle. Can they pick out somebody? Verachnik moving forward too. No rush for Baidu. Back in the side. Keen to make his mark now. Looks set to stay. Set to settle down and knuckle down for Salzburg this season now, after a turbulent summer off-season for Edmund Baidu. Good turn, Diakite. Space in the middle for Diabate. Has to lay it off to the right. There's the overlapping run. And let it go for the corner. Interesting choice. And there may be other options. Abu Barry happy to let it go, though. Didn't fancy his chances of picking anybody out. Had a look up. Had time to make the call. Not great news here with Soumaila Diabate down. Looks to be moving a little better than Dominguez Quina was when he left the field to be replaced by Ken Sema for Pafos in the first half. Salzburg having a good think about the changes anyway. Well, we see maybe Mazurek coming on. Corner first for Salzburg. Drifted into the middle. There's a connection on it. Finally a connection from somebody in the middle. It was Zabransky, the young defender, who couldn't steer it on target. How many times have Salzburg tried with the corners to pick somebody out today? And the time they do, it's a difficult volley. Technically, a really, really tough one for Valentin Zabransky. In the grand scheme of this first leg, though, it's got to go down as a good chance. Only made his debut in the Austrian Bundesliga in round one against Hartberg at the weekend. Zabransky played in the UEFA Youth League with Salzburg under-19s. Played for Liefering as well, as so many of these players have. Only a couple of senior appearances for Zabransky, both at the beginning of this campaign, so a really big chance of a breakout year for Zabransky, and a European goal. Well, that could have been a catalyst. Comes across to Goldar. Won the battle with Sammy May to start in defence tonight for Pafos. Space for the cross here. It's a good delivery, and the header down is going to drift just wide of the far post. That's the most dangerous moment we've seen from Pafos. Far too much space to send the ball into the box. The header in the end. Vlad Dragomir knows that he maybe should have done better. Got it down, but couldn't get it to curl inside the back post. It was pretty much what he wanted to do with it, but it's a good foot and a half wide in the end, and Zawieszczycki knew it. Didn't have to scramble back across. And indeed, we do see a change for Salzburg. Bartosz Mazurek, the 19-year-old from Poland, coming on. A lot of eyes on Mazurek this season. Polish under-19 international. Came up via Jagiellonia Białystok. Had a good season for such a young player in the Ekstraklasa last season. Across the middle it goes. Salzburg will get a second chance. It's a bit messy in the box, but that's how it's been all throughout this game. They're just looking for something to fall their way. A loose ball to find a white and red shirt in the open. How many times have we seen mini scrambles just opening up deep inside the Pafos box? Salzburg just can't quite find that clean movement as they try and cut into the penalty area. Problems over there on the left side. What exactly happened? Schmid's gone down holding his face. Maybe caught a shoulder across the nose as a result of that challenge. It was actually a flailing arm, I think, which is why Schmid felt that the free kick was due. It was a little bit of a careless challenge. Pafos will keep hold of it and they'll win the throw-in over in front of the tunnel. Tessen giving chase. The hour mark is elapsed now. We're past the hour. Tabakovic watching on, and there's a defensive error. Here's the big chance for Pafos to take the lead. And what a save from Zariashitsky. Listen to the roar from the crowd for that. It looked for all the world to be an easy Pafos opener. It was disastrous at the back for Salzburg. But what a brilliant bit of goalkeeping from Zariashitsky. Talk about rescuing Salzburg there. The Red Bulls were left in all kinds of trouble. That's as valuable as a goal for Red Bull Salzburg. That's why it was greeted with a cheer that loud. Everybody in the Red Bull Arena thought that Pafos were about to score after an uncharacteristic error in what has been, up until now, a solid performance at the back. They haven't had to do too much in defence. Suddenly one loose touch and the chance was there, and the chance, crucially, was missed. Lily giving chase again, this time Bulma's in position to head back to the hero of the hour, Christian Zariashitsky. By hook or by crook, he got it away. Looked to be beaten. Hadn't quite committed himself yet, still had a bit of a spring in his step to get back across, get something across and make the save. Here we'll see it, the long ball, it's left initially, and it's just a loose touch by Schmid, who's just had a whack across the face. Look at the reach there. That is superb goalkeeping. A little cheeky grin from Karim Konate as well. Lele, that is the chance that you dream about as a striker. Full credit to Kevin Bulma for trying to get back as well, as Majecki now makes the grab at the other end. What a moment, as if to confirm his #1 status, Zariashitsky, with the arrival of Christian Früchtel just yesterday, putting pen to paper on a deal to see him join from Lecce to bolster the Salzburg goalkeeping position. This time the header down, rather more comfortable at the back for Salzburg. Biel giving chase, but Salzburg can knock it around him. Really is the one mark against the Salzburg defence tonight, that loose touch, and it shows you at this European level how quickly you can get yourself into hot water. One loose touch and nearly a gifted goal for Pafos. Surely that was getting a bit handsy from Šunjić. He's escaped without conceding the free kick. Ball into the middle, headed away by Goldar. So the end of the evening for Damir Redzic. Sota Kitano, or Kitano Sota as he would be called. A Japanese player coming on. And Karim Konate is the man to replace Yorba Vertessen. Perhaps a bit of a surprise. Konate, though, the man in form, having scored the late winner in Bundesliga football at the weekend. Mazurek gets it across the middle. The challenge needed to be a good one. A decent defensive intervention, just about 7 or 8 yards in front of his own goal there from Guga. Ricardo Sapinto is not best pleased. Kitano sent in a lovely delivery for a headed goal in round 1 of the Cup. Scored a beautiful curler himself, Kitano. Now the first chance just after his introduction to show what he's got from the corner. Konate lining up against Alexandra Brito. Referee monitoring things closely inside the 6-yard box. I wouldn't be too surprised if something gets called back for a foul. There's all sorts of holding going on in there. It's headed away. And indeed, the whistle does blow. Too much pushing and shoving in the centre. Well, the rain has started again in this second half. Nothing like what we saw in the first half. The director focuses on Haris Tabakovic. Perhaps unsurprisingly, I think most people were expecting that he'd be the one to come on to replace Jobbe Vertessen. A lot of people wondering why he wasn't in the starting 11. Still new to the club, still perhaps not fully up to speed at training, having only joined a couple of weeks ago. Schmid couldn't commit. Shot from distance, it's well wide. Pafos looking to pinch a goal here and put themselves in a brilliant position ahead of the second leg. It would be cruel on Danny Röhl and Salzburg. And that's the way football goes. If you don't get the goals yourself, you open yourself up to all kinds of problems. There's a drop of the shoulder and move down the sideline there. There's Diakite again, who's been the danger man many, many times in this first leg for Red Bull Salzburg. They haven't created all that many chances though. That is the honest appraisal of the first 66 minutes. They've had dominance on the ball, they've looked very, very comfortable in possession most of the time. But ultimately you have to say that Dragomir's header and the Lele one-on-one, they go down as two of the very biggest and best chances in this contest so far. No doubt about that. Now it's Tabakovic time. He's going to be a popular figure here, Haris Tabakovic. The roar when he comes on, it's going to be a big one, I believe. Edmund Baidu back to his feet after getting a bit of treatment from the physios, but it looks like it's going to be the end of the evening's work for the number 20, the young Ghanaian striker. Maybe with the best chance of the night for Salzburg. His low shot, a little opportunistic, tried to just catch the keeper cold with a quick shot down towards the post. Majacki did well, the Polish shot stopper. He did his job and got down to it. That was just minutes after the restart and the 2-hour delay in the first half. That will be the big story from this game. The heavy rain, the storms above Salzburg, the sodden turf in the first 45 minutes that led to the long, long stoppage and perhaps the breakup of momentum for either of these teams. Chance again now. Biel, and it's nearly touched in. Flag would have gone up anyway, but Lele stabbed it towards the back post and so nearly turned it in. It wouldn't have counted, but Pafos causing some problems now. Right call from the linesman this time. So Enrique Aguilar is coming on in place of Diakite, who put in a really good shift tonight. So as expected, Baidu off, Tabakovic on. Aguilar, the young striker, half Spanish, half Swiss, is the other one to come on. He's actually yet to score a senior goal for Red Bull Salzburg, Enrique Aguilar. Didn't score in 11 appearances last season. Are we to see somebody scoring their first goal in Red Bull Salzburg colours tonight in the next 20 minutes? There is a goal in this for Salzburg. They could really use one. The problem is, Pafos will feel now that there's a goal in it for them too, and not without reason. Salzburg thinking back to that game against Hartberg, where they earned a valuable 3 points against a club that they usually do well against. But they needed the goal in the 89th minute to seal the win. It's going to be a free kick against Mazurek. Biel again going down. And this is where time is on the side of Pafos. Yes, they'll fancy nicking a goal themselves, but they don't need to rush. They can wait for the opportunities to fall for them. Salzburg, on the other hand, you feel in the next 20 minutes or so, well, they've got the onus to go out and attack. The ball's in their court, as it were. Konate using his strength, but it's not going to go out of play. Holding it up against Vlad Dragomir. And now it's Salzburg's turn to just clear it over halfway and give the ball back to the opposition. Header had to be won by Zabransky, and it was. Appeals for handball, but Salzburg will come away with it. They can keep hold of possession. Konate now, turning and moving into the Pafos half. What can the fresh legs of Salzburg muster up? Good ball into the middle for Kitano. Heavy first touch, just took him away to the right. Just sapped a bit of the momentum out of that drive forward. Barry back to Kitano down the right-hand side. Mazurek. Good awareness for the pass to the right-hand side, but didn't execute. Salzburg can pinch that one, though, with Zabransky. Was he fouled there? Referee says no. Zabransky stays down. Chance on the counter now for Pafos. Biel got the overlap to the right-hand side, and he'll use it. Brito into the middle it goes. Lele is not having the best of days up top for Pafos FC. Well, Guga got away with one there. Zabransky clipped the ball over the top, and Guga only made contact with the player. You've got to think if VAR was to have a look at that, it would have ended up as a Salzburg free kick. Actually in a really good position. Salzburg back in possession, though. Both teams looking for that late goal. Eyes on the prize of UEFA Europa League qualification. It won't be decided tonight, but one of these teams can take a big step towards the league phase, as Biel has gone down again. This time there was a little bit more in it. He's gone down so many times under soft challenges that I'm not sure the referee really believes that he's too badly hurt. This time the right knee of Kitano does come through the left knee of Biel. Free kick, the rightful outcome. Pafos getting the ball moving again. Konate now, maybe a chance to drive into the box. He's crowded out by blue shirts, but it's hacked away into the Salzburg dugout. Röhl can help this get restarted quickly. Pafos still recovering their shape a little bit. Kitano moves, it goes out to Schmid instead. Left-footed delivery. There were two of them in there. Tabakovic was one. Had his hands on the back of Konate. Clean challenge from Salzburg, and it will be surely a Red Bull Salzburg ball. Guga goes theatrically over. He's rolling and rolling. He's going to roll himself off the pitch if he's not careful, Guga, and then play can continue without him. Well, Barry goes into the book. The referee clearly felt that there was a foul. Ball was won. He went over the top of it a little. I think Guga's rolling about in the hope that there's going to be a look at that. Guga had time before feeling the pain to look back towards the referee, of course, and voice his complaints. I said Barry was no stranger to a yellow card. That has proven already to be correct. Salzburg cannot forget the prize at stake here. If they can take a lead back to Limassol for next week, they'll be a step closer to the UEFA Europa League. By my calculations, it's 10 to 15 million euros, worst case scenario, as long as they get that qualification over the line. Conference League wouldn't be too bad either, but Salzburg will fancy themselves as a Europa League team. And can they put themselves ahead? Konate nearly squeezed it over the line. He was always going down, couldn't make a clean contact, but tried to give every ounce of strength that he had to just get something on it. And it's agonisingly wide. He's done really well there, actually. Konate got the toe poke on it, but couldn't get any more. You do feel that one of these sides is going to end up with a slender lead here, aren't they? There's still something left in this long delayed game. If you're wondering why we're just 76 minutes into a game that should have started, or did start in fact, at 7 o'clock local time, well, it's because we had a 2-hour rain stoppage in the first half. The pitch was sodden, the ball didn't move properly, it didn't bounce at all. The pitch was deemed completely unplayable by referee Damian Silvestrjak, and we had to wait a full 2 hours of checks until the pitch was playable again. It's really been a tough introduction to Europa League football for Danny Röhl and his team this season. Pafos, no pushovers, that much is for sure. I think on paper, most would believe that playing against Mjällby or Slovan Bratislava in the next round, playing the loser of that tie would maybe be an easier tie on paper, but that means nothing. The loser of this tie, we don't want to think about that right now, but the loser would go on to play Alda of Latvia or Dinamo City of Albania in the Conference League playoff. Kitano, good delivery, has to be headed up from right in front of the face of his own goal. Barry, loose touch, and there could be a break on. He can't afford to throw himself in there. That was an important stoppage to win the ball back and stop Pafos from getting away on the counter. Now it's Kitano instead. Salzburg on the attack once more. Good clearance from David Goldar. More than 100 appearances, Goldar at Pafos since 2023, counts amongst their most experienced players in Pafos colours. Been there for both cup victories and the league win too. Kitano corner. Kitano's delivery, it's high, it's ballooned towards the back post, and he got a heavy contact on it. It's so frustrating for Red Bull Salzburg at this stage. They haven't made the most of a large number of set pieces tonight. Those are the kind of moments in tricky ties like this. The set piece always gives you the chance to get a cheap goal of some kind, but you've got to get those deliveries into the danger zone, and they haven't done it consistently enough. Think of the Vertessen corners throughout the first half. They were clipped towards the front post to no avail, time and time again. Only the one corner has led to anything like a chance when Zabransky put a really tough volley wide of the post. It's Murad Mamadov of Azerbaijan who's coming on for the closing stages. Alexandre Brito, the player to be withdrawn. Mamadov, new signing from Neftchi in Azerbaijan. Had his debut with a 40-minute spell against Hajduk in what turned out to be a really great tie in the end for Pafos, a famous comeback victory overturning a 2-goal advantage, and that just shows what Salzburg are up against. Even with Hajduk's 2-goal advantage, they weren't safe in Limassol. It is worth reiterating that Salzburg are a little unlucky in that they should be playing the second leg at home, but thanks to the Super Cup being here next week, they've had to switch around. So Pafos get the better of the tie, and they might get the better of this first leg if the delivery is a good one. Guga, he's going to try his luck from distance. Of course he is, but it's off target again. Good introduction though for Murad Mamadov. He used his pace, had the freshness to get that across, get down to the byline quickly enough, but Kevin Bouma actually was pretty alert in the box to shield that away with his body. He managed to turn it into a slightly less dangerous situation rather than knocking it towards his own goal. Free kick Salzburg. It's a crunching challenge on Kitano Sota. The yellow card is brandished. I think he was in the direction maybe of Biel. He was the one having a little chat with the referee afterwards. There were 3 players around Kitano. Might actually be Goldar who's gone into the book. Šunjić was there as well. Sapinto not happy. And it's Šunjić. Sorry, I stand corrected. Šunjić, the next name in the book alongside Luis and Sima of Pafos. Abu Barry, the only caution for the home side so far. Are there fireworks to come on this damp evening in Salzburg in the last 10 minutes of play? Aguilar, good touch around. If he can get back to that, that'll be brilliant. He's forced off it. Got to stick to his task and try and win it back. It's hammered away clear. Headed forward by Dragomir. Salzburg can win it back and send it back to Zabransky. Pass forward, doesn't find Tabakovic. He's had not very much to do since coming on. It's not the introduction that he dreamed of, Haris Tabakovic. Not much service yet. One teasing cross that he felt that he might be able to get on the end of. He wasn't far away. That's about the sum total of attacking chances. That's been the problem for Salzburg. They've controlled the ball okay. They've never really looked incisive. It's not really been about efficiency in front of goal as it was against Hartberg, where they had shot after shot, 28 in total, before Konate forced in the late winner. It's been about changing attacking positions into shooting positions, which just has not happened. Aguilar putting in the effort, but told to get back to his feet. Well, Danny Röhl feeling a bit of pressure here. 0-0 would be an excellent result for Pafos. Majecki can boot the ball downfield. Kitano kept it in, but at what cost? Because Goldar has picked it off. Mamadov, is he going to drive down towards the byline again? This time he'll cut back onto his left. Happy to go back to the right though. Still stays on his left actually. Just taking touch after touch, and it's back with Vlad Dragomir, the Romanian. Spent his youth career with Arsenal. David Luiz, also formerly of Arsenal. He'll move forward, and it's rolled the right way for Pafos. It bobbled into the box. It was simply smashed clear. I said a few minutes ago, I felt that one team was bound to come up with a late goal. A crucial late goal here in this first leg. maybe you have to be a bit hardier now to believe that that's still going to be the case. Salzburg haven't really threatened enough, considering the amount of the ball they've seen and the attacking talent on display. It's a really well organised Pafos, but they had them looking panicked in the first half, Salzburg. They started the second half with intensity. They had the willingness to drive forward, they had the ability to drive forward as well, but once they've gotten into the final third, the ideas just seem to have run out for Red Bull Salzburg tonight at the key moments. Crucially, a Christian Zariuszczycki save has kept this at least at 0-0 for now. As Salzburg go about the hunt for that late goal. It's deflected but away from the box from Schmid's cross. Barry picks it up. He'll find Kitano. Kitano up against David Luiz. Abu Barry. Now a chance for Mazurek. Gets it into the box. It's cut back and maybe a shooting chance. Salzburg go for more and more touches with Karim Konate. And they'll win a goal kick as well. Pafos. Goldar celebrates with Majecki. Konate can't believe it. But presumably the referee saw something there. Did the last touch just clip off the shin? Here we'll get a chance to see it in slow motion. Wow, you don't see much from that angle. Maybe a lucky break there for Pafos. Zariuszczycki, look at the confidence that he's got to slip that pass through the forward press at this point of this game. This is a man who's feeling like he's in his rightful place at 19 years of age. Brilliant to see. That's what Red Bull Salzburg have been all about over the years, in the last decade or so. Bringing through young talent, giving these players the freedom to express themselves out on the pitch. Good ball in, and it's sent back for Tabakovic. What a block, but he's going to get a second chance. And Tabakovic scores his first Salzburg goal and makes an 88th minute breakthrough. Salzburg strike first in the tie, and it's come late on in the first leg. It's not the prettiest goal that he'll go on and score for Red Bull Salzburg, but it is the first, and it is precious. No hint of offside, the clever pass there. You have to say that Verachnik was heavily involved in the makeup of that goal. Barry clipped it over, Verachnik so selfless. It's a great block initially from Ioanu. It's unfortunate for the number 14 in the Pafos defence. He couldn't have done any more than that initial block, but it's come right back to Tabakovic, and that is exactly why Red Bull Salzburg signed him. Tabakovic is there to force things like that over the line in tight games and make a big difference to the course of the season for a side who haven't won a trophy in too long in Austria. None of the last 4 cups, none of the last 3 Austrian Bundesligas. But crucially, they've got themselves in front in this first leg. It's not pretty, but who cares? Salzburg 1, Pafos 0, with 90 minutes looming large. A full-time whistle, just a few minutes away now as Pafos look for David Luiz, but they can't find him in the 89th minute. I was speaking to figures at the club today, and they said exactly this. Tabakovic is there to get some ugly wins, get those doors opened when things don't seem to be going Salzburg's way. What about a second now? Mazurek, was Kitano onside? Ball across the middle. It's going to be kept in. No corner for Salzburg as Pepe has come on in place of Vlad Dragomir. This changes the game now for Pafos. 1-0 still wouldn't be a terrible result for them, but they were dreaming of a 1-0 in their own direction. goalless draw would have been seen as a result to celebrate for the Cypriot side, but they've conceded late on, and we've got 3 additional minutes at the end of the 90 in Salzburg. It's been a long time coming. We're 2 hours overdue. Barry gets play restarted and switches play to the right. How crucial is that late Tabakovic goal going to look after the end of the game in Limassol, you wonder? Salzburg have to do this the hard way, given that they can't bring this back to Salzburg for the second leg as they were theoretically supposed to do. The Super Cup being right here in Salzburg next week put paid to a second leg here. They've had to switch the tie around. It's obviously a challenge that Salzburg knew about and have to back themselves to overcome, but it is a bit of an unusual disadvantage for Salzburg to have. That one's picked off by Mazarek. Guga will bring it forward. It's a good challenge. Enrique Aguilar getting right in there, getting stuck in. A minute of the 3 additional has already elapsed. Golda links up with David Luiz. It's the new man who's just come on, Pepe. Ken Sema. Can he force his way down the left-hand side? He can, and he's got away from his man. Bit of trouble over there after the move from Ken Sema. It's stayed on. Salzburg temporarily down to 10. David Luiz is going to loft something into the middle. It's looping towards the goal and well over the top of the frame of Christian Zamierzicki's goal. Luiz feels that took a deflection on its way through. He doesn't want to admit that he shanked the right-footed delivery, but Salzburg were perhaps unlucky a minute ago or two not to get a corner of their own, and now karma comes back for Pafos. Into the third of the 3 additional. Aguilar, he's read that well, and he's been taken out there, and that's a second yellow. They're calling for the physios to come on right now, and even the Pafos players were calling for it. I wonder if there's been a serious arm injury here for Enrique Aguilar. Sema can't believe that he's seen red, but he was caught out completely there. Tabakovic just held up the play, and it's a kick into the air from Ken Sema. This is not good at all. It's an absolutely wild kick. I think there might be a wrist issue for Aguilar, which was not to do with the kick directly from Ken Sema, but he's landed awkwardly after going down. But Sema with a wild challenge, and he can't have any complaints about the second yellow and the eventual sending off. Pepe is talking it through with the referee and pleading Pafos' case, but Sema's been sent off, and this is not looking good for Aguilar. Ricardo Sapinto, an animated character at the best of times. He can't believe it, in the way that this game has slipped away, but I don't think he can realistically have any complaints about the red card here, nor really about the goal. Salzburg didn't look to have that cutting edge, but they're not bad value for the 1-0 lead, that's for sure. Sema heads off. He only came on midway through the first half after an injury to Dominguez Quina. I wonder how long we're going to play on top of the 3 additional minutes here. There was just about a minute left, I think, when the foul came in from Ken Sema, so Pafos don't have too long to hold on. You never know how long the referee's going to add. It's consolation from Sapinto. He's taken Ken Sema there and consoled him after the challenge has led to what looks to be a pretty serious injury. It's really unfortunate for Enrique Aguilar, who looks to be in all kinds of pain. He's got the wrist strapped up. I think he landed on that right wrist. You saw the players calling straight away. It must have been really visible that it wasn't looking good. I'm not sure we need to see the slow-mo of this, but It was really well read from Aguilar. He takes a massive kick to the knee and just lands horribly on that right wrist. He's holding it straight away. I don't need to tell you anymore, but that does not look good. Unfortunately for Enrique Aguilar, he's going off in tears, and I'm sure in rather a lot of pain. And it might be a while before we see him again in Red Bull Salzburg colours, unfortunately. And his efforts for the team have earned at least the man advantage for the next minute or so. I'm not sure how long the referee will decide to play. I think there was some disagreement with the Salzburg players. Maybe the referee said this is how long's left, and the players didn't quite think it was correct, but Barry will get the free kick taken at some point. No real intention to get it towards the box. They go out to the right hand side instead, where they'll pick up a throw in and nothing more. We're 6 minutes into the 3 additional. Can't have much more than 1 minute left. Salzburg corner. Maybe this the final chance then for Salzburg to double the lead. Given the way the game panned out and the late goal 88 minutes in, they'll be happy with a 1-0 advantage, and that is all it will be. Tabakovic on the board for Red Bull Salzburg, and they have a slender advantage to take back to the away game in Limassol next week. It's not the free-flowing start that Danny Röhl wanted in Europe for Salzburg, but they get the win. Crucially, they have something to hold on to in Limassol. Pafos have proven to be stubborn opponents. They nearly grabbed a goal themselves. They went even closer to at least going home with a 0-0, but Salzburg stole it at the end. It was a second bite at the cherry for Haris Tabakovic, the Bosnian. In the end, the battering ram that broke down the Pafos defence late on in this first leg. It's been marred at the very end by a red card for Sima and a nasty looking wrist injury for Enrique Aguilar, unfortunately. But otherwise, that aside, Salzburg can be pretty content with how this panned out. A game with a 2-hour rain delay has ended, decided by a late goal from Haris Tabakovic. David Luiz gives the shirt to the fan in the crowd who asked for it. That's a nice touch. And Luiz and his side have been beaten. Don't forget, a lovely touch from Vrachnik to open up the shooting chance late on for Tabakovic. His first shot was blocked well by Nicolas Ioanu, the Pafos defender, but the second one came right back to him and he could stick it away, and that is why it's finished Salzburg 1, Pafos 0 from this first leg. Join us again in a week's time. Pafos unfortunately can't play at their home stadium. They'll play in Limassol. I'll leave it there for tonight. Good night, thanks for watching and thanks for your patience throughout the delay. Salzburg end the first leg with a lead.